The royal car Château de Chambord at Chambord, Loire-et-Cher, France, is one of the most recognizable cars châteaux in the world because of its very distinctive French Renaissance architecture which blends traditional French medieval forms with classical Renaissance structures. The building, which was never completed, was constructed by King François I. Chambord is the largest car château in the Loire Valley. It was built to serve as a hunting lodge for François I, who maintained his royal residences at the car château of Blois and Amboise. The original design of the car Château de Chambord is attributed, though with some doubt, to Domenico da Cortona. Leonardo da Vinci may also have been involved. Chambord was altered considerably during the 28 years of its construction, during which it was overseen on-site by Pierre Nepveu. With the car château nearing completion, François I showed off his enormous symbol of wealth and power by hosting his old arch-rival, Emperor Charles V, at Chambord. In 1792, in the wake of the French Revolution, some of the furnishings were sold and timber removed. For a time the building was left abandoned, though in the 19th century some attempts were made at restoration. During the Second World War, artworks from the collections of the Louvre and the car Château de Compiègne were moved to the car Château de Chambord. The car château is now open to the public, receiving 700,000 visitors in 2007. Architecture. Car château in the 16th century departed from castle architecture. While they were offshoots of castles, with features commonly associated with them, they did not have serious defences. Extensive gardens and water features, such as a moat, were common amongst car châteaux from this period. Chambord is no exception to this pattern. The layout is reminiscent of a typical castle with a keep, corner towers, and defended by a moat. Built in Renaissance style, the internal layout is an early example of the French and Italian style of grouping rooms into self-contained suites, a departure from the medieval style of corridor rooms. The massive car château is composed of a central keep with 4 immense bastion towers at the corners. The keep also forms part of the front wall of a larger compound with 2 more large towers. Bases for a possible further 2 towers are found at the rear, but these were never developed, and remain the same height as the wall. The car château features 440 rooms, 282 fireplaces, and 84 staircases. 4 rectangular vaulted hallways on each floor form a cross shape. The car château was never intended to provide any form of defense from enemies. Consequently the walls, towers and partial moat are purely decorative, and even at the time were an anachronism. Some elements of the architecture are open windows, loggia, and a vast outdoor area at the top are borrowed from the Italian Renaissance architecture are less practical in cold and damp northern France. The roofscape of Chambord contrasts with the masses of its masonry and has often been compared with the skyline of a town. It shows 11 kinds of towers and 3 types of chimneys, without symmetry, framed at the corners by the massive towers. The design parallels a North Italian and Leonardesque. Writer Henry James remarked the towers, cupolas, the gables, the lanterns, the chimneys, look more like the spires of a city than the salient points of a single building. One of the architectural highlights is the spectacular double helix open staircase that is the centerpiece of the car château. The 2 helices ascend the 3 floors without ever meeting, illuminated from above by a sort of lighthouse at the highest point of the car château. There are suggestions that Leonardo da Vinci may have designed this staircase, but this has not been confirmed. Writer John Evelyn said of the staircase it is devised with 4 entries or ascents, which cross one another, so that though 4 persons meet, they never come in sight, but by small loopholes, till they land. It consists of 274 steps, and is an extraordinary work, but of far greater expense than use or beauty. The car château also features 128 meters of four-sectionade, more than 800 sculpted columns and an elaborately decorated roof. When François I commissioned the construction of Chambord, he wanted it to look like the skyline of Constantinople. The car château is surrounded by a 52.5 km² wooded park and game reserve maintained with red deer, enclosed by a 31 km wall. The king's plan to divert the Loire to surround the car Centaur came about only in a novel, Amadis of Gaul, which François Section-Noir had translated. In the novel the car Centaur is referred to as the Palace of Vermeil. Chambord's towers are atypical of French contemporary design in that they lack turrets and spires. In the opinion of author Tanaka, who suggests Leonardo da Vinci influenced the car Centaur's design, they are closer in design to minarets of 15th-century Milan. The design and architecture of the car Centaur inspired William Henry Crossland for his design of what is known as the Founders Building at Royal Holloway, University of London. The Founders Building features very similar towers and layout but was built using red bricks. History, royal ownership. Who designed the car Château de Chambord is a matter of controversy. The original design is attributed, though with several doubts, to Domenico da Cortona, whose wooden model for the design survived long enough to be drawn by Andrea copyright Libene in the 17th century. In the drawings of the model, the main staircase of the keep is shown with two straight, parallel flights of steps separated by a passage and is located in one of the arms of the cross. According to Jean Guillaume, this Italian design was later replaced with the centrally located spiral staircase, which is similar to that at Blois, and a design more compatible with the French preference for spectacular grand staircases. However, at the same time the result was also a triumph of the centralized layout to Euro itself a wholly Italian element. In 1913 Marcel Raymond suggested that Leonardo da Vinci, a guest of François Section-Noir at Clos Lucca copyright near Amboise, was responsible for the original design, which reflects Leonardo's plans for a car Centaur at Romorantin for the king's mother, and his interests in central planning and double helical staircases. The discussion has not yet concluded, although most scholars now agree that Leonardo was at least responsible for the design of the central staircase. Regardless of who designed the car Centaur, on 6 September 1519 François Section-Noir Pombriant was ordered to begin construction of the car Château de Chambord. The work was interrupted by the Italian War of 1521–1526, and work was slowed by dwindling royal funds and difficulties in laying the structure's foundations. By 1524, the walls were barely above ground level. Building resumed in September 1526, at which point 1,800 workers were employed building the car Centaur. At the time of the death of King François Section-Noir in 1547, the work had cost 444,070 lives. The car Centaur was built to act as a hunting lodge for King François Section-Noir I. However, the king spent barely 7 weeks there in total, that time consisting of short hunting visits. As the car Centaur had been constructed with the purpose of short stays, it was not practical to live in on a longer-term basis. The massive rooms, open windows and high ceilings meant heating was impractical. Similarly, as the car Centaur was not surrounded by a village or estate, there was no immediate source of food other than game. This meant that all food had to be brought with a group, typically numbering up to 2,000 people at a time. As a result of all the above, the car Centaur was completely unfurnished during this period. All furniture, wall coverings, eating implements and so forth were brought specifically for each hunting trip, a major logistical exercise. It is for this reason that much furniture from the era was built to be disassembled to facilitate transportation. After François Section-Noir died of a heart attack in 1547, the car Centaur was not used for almost a century. For more than 80 years after the death of King François Section-Noir I, French kings abandoned the car Centaur, allowing it to fall into decay. Finally, in 1639 King Louis XIII gave it to his brother, Gaston d'Orléans copyright Ans, who saved the car Centaur from ruin by carrying out much restoration work. King Louis XIV had the Great Keep restored and furnished the royal apartments. The king then added a 1,200-horse stable, enabling him to use the car Centaur as a hunting lodge and a place to entertain a few weeks each year. Nonetheless, Louis XIV abandoned the car Centaur in 1685. From 1725 to 1733, Stanislas Leszczynski, the deposed King of Poland and father-in-law of King Louis XV, lived at Chambord. In 1745, as a reward for valor, the king gave the Château to Maurice de Saix, Marshal of France, who installed his military regiment there. Maurice de Saix died in 1750, and once again the colossal Château sat empty for many years. French Revolution and modern history. In 1792, the revolutionary government ordered the sale of the furnishings. The wall panellings were removed and even floors were taken up and sold for the value of their timber, and, according to M. de la Sauzet, the panel doors were burned to keep the rooms warm during the sales. The empty Château was left abandoned until Napoleon Bonaparte gave it to his subordinate, Louis-Alexandre Berthier. The Château was subsequently purchased from his widow for the infant Duke of Bordeaux, Henri Charles de Laudon, copyright, who took the title Comte de Chambord. A brief attempt at restoration and occupation was made by his grandfather King Charles X, but in 1830 both were exiled. In Outre-mer, A Pilgrimage Beyond the Sea, published in the 1830s, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow remarked on the dilapidation that had set in, "All is mournful and deserted. The grass has overgrown the pavement of the courtyard, and the rude sculpture upon the walls is broken and defaced." During the Franco-Prussian War, the Château was used as a field hospital. The final attempt to make use of the Colossus came from the Comte de Chambord, but after the Comte died in 1883, the Château was left to his sister's heirs, the titular Dukes of Parma, then resident in Austria. First left to Robert, Duke of Parma, who died in 1907, and after him, Elias, Prince of Parma. Any attempts at restoration ended with the onset of World War I in 1914. The Château de Chambord was confiscated as enemy property in 1915, but the family of the Duke of Parma sued to recover it, and that suit was not settled until 1932. Restoration work was not begun until a few years after World War II ended in 1945. The Château and surrounding areas, some 5,440 hectares, have belonged to the French state since 1930. In 1939, shortly before the outbreak of World War II, the art collections of the Louvre and Compiègne museums were stored at the Château de Chambord. An American B-24 Liberator bomber crashed onto the Château lawn on June 22, 1944. The image of the Château has been widely used to sell commodities from chocolate to alcohol and from porcelain to alarm clocks. Combined with the various written accounts of visitors, this made Chambord one of the best-known examples of France's architectural history. The Château de Chambord was the inspiration for the Beast's castle in the 1991 animated Disney film Beauty and the Beast. Today, Chambord is a major tourist attraction, and in 2007 around 700,000 people visited the Château. Influence: the Founders Building at Royal Holloway, University of London, designed by William Henry Crossland, was inspired by the Château de Chambord. The main building of Fettes College in Edinburgh, designed by David Bryce in 1870, also contains decorative quotations from the Château de Chambord. References, notes. Footnotes. Bibliography. Further reading. External links: Château de Chambord, Château de Chambord, the official website of France, photos of Chambord, 360-degree panoramas of Le Château de Chambord by the Media Center for Art History, Columbia University.